All right, everybody, come on in. Pastor here on site here at the church, 1317 High Road. All my friends, welcome. Happy Saturday to you all. I just want to chat with you and talk with you. We have a spokesman from CDR Health, and your name, please. Stacy, who's going to talk with us a little bit about the real truth about COVID-19 and the vaccination. Um, Sometimes the right information is just not getting out to the people. Sometimes things get politicized. Sometimes fear gets involved. Sometimes spin, media pundit, media pundits are attacking it. And sometimes you're just not really hearing the real information that you needed to hear. And you have to do a lot of digging, have a lot of patience if you're going to really find out really what's going on. And some of you already know, and some of you are well versed, but I don't think we've passed on this information enough. And we're trying to do all that we can to educate and save lives, not through fear, but through education and facts and helping people make educated decisions about their health and their life. And I think out of love, we should have some type of, I don't want to use the word obligation, but some type of initiative out of love for humanity to speak up and do what we're doing. So that's why we're out here today at the Dream Center partnering for this vaccination with Florida Health and CDR Health and everything that it takes to bring health to our community. And very flat-footed, just saying it very flat-footed, we care about you and your family. And so when you hear us talking about vaccine health, vaccinations, your health, it's because we're loving you. All right. And so we pray that you will receive what we're about to share with you, and you'll do the same as you learn and share with other people. This is not a time to be silent, but a time to speak up politely, respectfully, and show love. So we're going to go right now live to our CDR Health representative. How are you this morning?
Hi, good morning. I'm Stacy. I am with CDR Health. And since we're outside, I'm going to take my mask off. Since we're standing 6 feet apart, I'm going to take my mask off for just a moment, okay? Just so we can have this conversation. You can see my smile. How are you guys today? I'm Stacy. I'm a nurse. I have been in healthcare since 2010. I've been a nurse for 4 years and an ER nurse for most of that stuff. So unfortunately, I've been through the pandemic, in it, through it, all that stuff for 4 years. I know this pandemic has kind of hit everybody hard, and everybody's really tired of hearing about it. I know everybody's tired. I know everybody's tired of treating it too, as far as my healthcare workers go. But I'm here to give you a little bit of education on like some vaccines. We have Pfizer, we have Moderna, and we have Johnson & Johnson. Now, the Pfizer vaccine is currently FDA approved. We can give the first, second, and third booster for those who qualify. Usually the booster shot is available for 6 months out from the second shot. The Moderna hasn't been approved for a booster yet, but it's coming. And the Johnson & Johnson is just one shot, but for those who qualify for that kind of stuff. Now, usually for the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, people love it because it's just one. But kind of got to worry about some like bleeding risks for that. If you have any like health risks, heart attack stuff, you want to stay away from the Johnson & Johnson. But if you have those kinds of risks, like if you have a history of heart attack, kidney disease, have blood pressure, anything like that, cancer, you want to get a vaccine that's like a little bit stronger and will protect you from those things. Because unfortunately, those people that have health risks are the ones that COVID hits the hardest, and sometimes the ones that don't make it out alive, unfortunately. And I don't mean to say that to scare anybody, but that's just what I've seen over these past couple of years that we've been in this pandemic. So I want to answer any questions, give any information that I have. I don't want to preach at anybody. I just want to give some honest truth. And if anybody has any questions, I maybe have some answers.
You know, Stacy, and everybody listening, you can't see my face, but you get my voice. Stacy, tell us what it means to be FDA approved or not. I've heard people be very concerned about things not being FDA approved, and I just think maybe they don't really understand what it means.
That's a great question. So, to be FDA approved, it goes through like a 6-step process. So, when the vaccines were kind of released back in December of last year. Uh, those were under the emergency use authorization. So that means that they're like it's a 6-step process. They're in steps 5 and 6 to be able to get released to the public under emergency use. And step 6 is total FDA approval. Now, you do have to go through some stringent stuff to get FDA approval, but the ones that have emergency use are just as good because they are still like given emergency use by the FDA. The FDA does a lot of regulations with a lot of drugs and stuff, as we know, but it gives you the emergency use for those things. For the vaccines, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but we give emergency use to give those vaccines as well as like other medications. So the FDA approval, kind of like its little seal of approval, but that's coming for all the vaccines very, very soon because like Moderna is almost FDA approved.
Right, and also I've heard that Moderna is also applied to be approved for the booster as well.
As soon, yeah, very, very soon. We are in the final steps of trying to figure out. I know that we are giving it to some people who are like our older adults and who have like immunocompromised systems. We are giving it to those individuals. I know. Sometimes we have them talk with their doctor if that's an option that's available. But that's coming very soon for the Moderna boosters as well as the Pfizer. So Pfizer's is available right now. If you've had 6 months after, Pfizer's available for that booster. And so is the Johnson. Johnson's about to be approved for that too. We're just kind of keeping our ear peeled for the Department of Health direction.
I thank you, Stacey. And hopefully everybody's hearing what Stacey is saying. Again, if you're just joining, I'm pointing the camera at Stacey so you can't see my face. But I think that understanding of the FDA process is very important because through fear, people have used the fact that at first the vaccinations were not FDA approved. Of course, Pfizer is now, as a mechanism to deter people from something that's good, when the reality is our everyday over-the-counter at the grocery store vitamins that are in our cabinets are not FDA approved.
And the ones that used and recommended to be treated for COVID, those are not FDA approved. Those aren't even FDA regulated.
Right.
They're regulated by hopefully in certain, like I would hope there's like a vitamin standard
right.
that they use, but that's not even proven that they're going to be proven that they're going to be regulated by those vitamin standards.
Yeah.
So those, like the vitamins that we're using to treat COVID, the zinc, the vitamin C, the magnesium, all that stuff, not regulated by the FDA. And most of the treatments also not regulated by the FDA. The people that we worry about that worry about the vaccine, like side effects and stuff, absolutely. Like I understand that there are some side effects for the vaccine that you kind of want. I know that sounds a little scary, but you want those so your body can build defense mechanisms.
Talk about that. All right, well, pause a second. Let's go back to FDA and we want to talk about building it up. So again, not being FDA approved does not mean it's not safe and not something you cannot use. Because every day that caveat or phrase that was used was really used to bring fear, when the truth of the matter, a lot of the things that we use for everyday life and intake are not FDA approved, and we are fine, and we are living, and we are functioning. And so FDA approved does mean something, but not having it doesn't mean that something that is not safe. And we still get vitamins. So I want you all to really, really hear, and thank you, Chester Smith. We'll answer your question in just a second. So if anyone else has questions, please ask them. So again, not being FDA approved does not mean it's not safe, and it doesn't mean it hadn't went through other scrutinies to be approved on the market.
So much scrutiny. Like it has to go through such a process. If you guys only knew the process that it has to go through. I don't even know the in-depths of the process that it has to go through, but even to get certified for emergency use, it has to go through such a scrutinizing process to be given those. So like it is safe, even if it doesn't have that stamp of approval on it just yet. Those vaccines, still very safe. I'm living proof of that. I got Moderna. It's not FDA approved yet. I'm doing great, and I'd get a booster today if it were an option to me. I mean,
that's so good. I want you all to get these facts. Again, fear has been kind of released and attached to the vaccination, and we got to press through with research, professionalism, And this, again, for my point of view, is an outreach of love because the Bible says, and I'm being the preacher here, the Bible says people perish for the lack of knowledge. So just information alone can save a life. And again, I believe also ethically as a minister, I wouldn't ever bring anything that I believe in good faith are not to the people I love. So I'm not getting paid to do this by somebody. I'm not on contract. I'm not looking for no status or a poster board. This is about our grandmothers, our neighbors, our leaders, our professionals. This is about life. All right. All right. So let's go into that second part about why people have effects from the vaccination.
I love this
All
one.
right.
This is my favorite. So you want to have those effects from that vaccine. That means that it's working. So what it does, it's those viruses or the COVID vaccines. Whenever we're giving you the COVID vaccines, it has never in this lifetime been a live virus. So that is wonderful. It just gives you it inoculates into your body what we call it's DNA transcription. So your body's like, whoa, I don't know what that is. So your body's like, we got to fight this off. And it makes little immune system cells to it. So it keeps you guys, it builds your immunity, it builds your antibodies to that kind of DNA transcription. So if COVID is introduced into your immune system, your body has the weapons to fight it off. Now, you're going to have some that are going to have some breakthrough cases, and that's unfortunate. But I tell you what, those people that get the COVID after having like a vaccine, I know it's still a possibility, but those people usually have way better outcomes than the people who are unfortunately unvaccinated. And I'm not trying to be preachy there, but that's just unfortunately the facts. Yeah. I wanted to give you like a plain and simple, lay it all out for everyone. But you want those side effects. I know that they don't feel good for a little bit. I was down for sick, didn't feel very good for 24 hours. The next day I was deep cleaning my entire house, and I had a friend that had the same thing. He built a fence the next day. So I'm not trying to advertise that, but I'm just saying it's not necessarily like you're gonna build a fence the next day,
right.
But it's not gonna be forever. Those symptoms, those side effects from the vaccine, you want that because that means you have a healthy immune system. That means your immune system is doing what it was designed and built to do,
which is react to what's happening in there,
yes.
and help the body build up those defenses
right.
to fight off those viruses.
Right.
And so, again, one of the things I've learned throughout the last 2 years, I'll say, of dealing with this pandemic of this COVID virus, is I've learned more about my body. I've learned more about science. So when you hear the word zinc, I ignored it all through middle school, high school, calcium. We all know those things, but all those vitamins that are used and also with the virus. So one of the things I did is I also researched what's in the virus, right? And that also reduced my fear about the vaccination. I researched what is in the vaccination, the vaccine. And that also reduced my concern before I got vaccinated, because some of the things that are in there are things that I eat every day and take in every day.
If you chew chewing gum, you have parts of the vaccine in your mouth.
That's right. So again, reducing the fear through education and knowledge and understanding what's really happening with the vaccine. And still, again, I appreciate, and I think this is need to be appreciated when someone says, hey, we've tested the vaccine, and we do want to say to people who may have some pre-existing conditions that you may want to definitely go to your doctor prior to having the vaccine. Now, that shouldn't scare you. That's honesty and being forthright about the vaccine. I would be more concerned about a vaccine that they said doesn't bother any condition. Right? So rather than looking at these things as deterrences, look at them from the positive point of view that somebody professional have looked at this thing and it knows how it behaves, right? So it's not setting you up, and please allow me to use this word, the okie doke, not setting you up for the okie doke here. Somebody professional who does this for a living have evaluated this and are telling certain people, hey, if you have certain conditions, you may not want to do this vaccine, you may want to do this vaccine.
Right.
All right. So let the knowledge reduce the fear. Here, I got two questions.
All right, hit me with it.
All right. Thank you, Chelsea Smith. If anyone has a question, we appreciate it. Do you recommend the booster for a teenager, a 14-year-old who already had 2 doses of Pfizer?
So it really depends on when you have the second dose of that vaccine. It also depends on if the child, if the 14-year-old or anybody has had any pre-existing health conditions or ones that cause like immunosuppressing. So a lot of people that like have cancer, we're giving those sooner than 6 months. We will give it to anybody of any age if you've had it for over 6 months for the booster for Pfizer. Moderna, not just yet, but for Pfizer, yeah, sure. If he's been out 6 months, if he has 6 months today from that last vaccine, get it. Because like I would recommend it for anyone because I've unfortunately seen those little kids sick with the COVID, not getting the vaccine. So yes, absolutely, please. I thank you for getting your child vaccinated. You've given him the best chance.
Right.
I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
That's an excellent question. All right. Another question. After receiving the first Pfizer vaccine, I had a metallic taste in my mouth for approximately an hour or so. Is that something you heard of?
Not really. I haven't really heard of that, truthfully, but have we had the second vaccine? I mean, I know that's a follow-up question and everything, but no, I really haven't heard of a lot of people having like a metallic taste in their mouth, but if it only lasted for an hour and went away, I would say that you're pretty safe.
Yes, I would say so as well. I'm not a doctor. Thank you for that honest question, Arjun Wilson. And I always tell people, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call your doctor and say,
us too. I mean,
yeah.
if I'm at the office, if I'm ever at the office, CDR Health, I don't mind answering questions. I'll have a phone conversation with you all day long, or just talk to you. Because I'm not coming off this I don't want to come off as preachy, no offense.
Yeah.
But I want to have a good educational conversation with somebody. Like I don't want to preach you, and I'm not going to be mad at you if you don't get the vaccine either way. But I'd rather have somebody have their questions answered. And it's healthy to have questions about what you're putting in your body.
Absolutely.
It's totally okay.
Absolutely.
I think that it's a little bit weird, like you said with the okie dokes. I think it is a little bit weird if you just say, okie doke, let's do it. No problem. I'm not going to ask any questions. It's very healthy to have questions. And I want to answer those questions as best as I can, because the more people that we get vaccinated, the more people we get herd immunity from. That'll help decrease the chances of this virus having as bad of an outbreak as we did with the Delta variant, which hit our community in Tallahassee really, really hard.
Very hard.
It was difficult.
Very hard to hear in Tallahassee because we thought that we were about through with the COVID-19.
Correct.
Things were opening up, and then the next thing you know, wow, our numbers skyrocketed, and now the variant was really affecting numbers and numbers of people. And again, I'm right now as a pastor, I end up joining on with people in the front line because I get the calls about the daughters, the sons, the uncles who are in the hospital and ICU. And those who know part of my church, I balance both sides. I've said wear a mask. I've said if you feel comfortable, get vaccinated. And I've also said eat right, right? Because the vitamins and it also in your food. So eat right. So you also have the greater intake of those vitamins. So eat right. Of course, if you're smoking and all those things, you should get rid of all those habits right now. Those are all these habits that just work against the body.
Of resources on the Department of Health if you're interested in smoking cessation too. We have like those numbers that you probably heard on the radio when you're in your car talking about smoking cessation as well. Talking about how Florida will actually give you resources to with, like gums and patches and all that stuff. There's options. The point is there's options to help you live a healthier life, even if it's making one small change. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
That's right.
So it's one small change can have a ripple effect in the pond, can make you like lead a healthier life today. Making small changes today helps you have a healthier life tomorrow.
And that's what we want. So I thank you all for asking these questions. Again, I appreciate you, Stacey. We got more questions. We're not cutting off. But again, this is about a dialogue about your health. And I'm diving in, guys, because, again, we know prior to COVID-19, I know people who have health conditions and are afraid to go get an answer for it or a remedy. So sometimes what they do is stay home, and this is one of the psychological effects of illnesses that I've tried to combat is sometimes people are ill, sick, and they just try to fight it off. They don't go call a doctor. And so, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, I've told people don't sit around feeling not feeling well for 5, 6 days, barely can breathe, and then finally, this is happening because in a normal health atmosphere, people don't normally. A lot of people don't go to the doctor. There's this mindset. I don't go to doctors. I don't go to doctors. Okay,
They don't want to be.
then we preach that. Some people have fears. But in this environment, I've been telling people, hey guys, if you're not feeling well and you know your body's not feeling well, do something about it. I just had a person, a part of our church, had a cough, wasn't feeling well. His brother came to visit. He was like, yeah, my breath's been short, but I think I'm okay. I don't think I got that COVID. Well, his brother was there, called his nieces who are in another city, who are nurses. He described his symptoms. They said, get him out the house, get him to the ER. And he was in the ER ICU for 9 days. He is living, but I'm telling you what happens in the way we think about health in our bodies. And he's a big, strong guy, played sports. And so he felt like he was going to be okay. He was going to fight through it. And it was doing that. It was breaking down his body, and his body was fighting, but his body was losing. And he got to the hospital, and he's alive today. Right. So again, some of the psychological things we deal with and the way, and younger people as well.
I don't know what has happened, but like they have unfortunately this Superman complex,
Yeah.
where they think nothing can get to them. And I tell you what, the amount of college people that I've seen, the amount of like me, older 20s that I have seen get this virus, and I'd be absolutely crippled and have like long-term effects. And like you said, people that are like bodybuilders and live.
Yeah.
I've seen those people be absolutely crippled by this vaccine or not vaccine, by COVID, and have long-term side effects. Now, is that going to happen to every person? We don't know, but you don't. I wouldn't want to take those chances of having to wear oxygen for forever just because I get COVID, something we have a vaccine for now, and just because we don't want to get the vaccine. I wouldn't want to wear oxygen for the rest of my life. But the younger people too, the younger people are also affected by this. The little kids, because older adults aren't getting vaccinated, their parents aren't getting vaccinated, which protects the people who can't get vaccinated, like younger children.
The transmission of it.
It is.
And that's one of the things you have to raise people's sensitivity, because while they may feel confident that they can overcome it, they may become a carrier to someone else who cannot overcome it. They may go in that home, hug their grandmother who they miss and they love, and because they have such an immune system to fight it, may not recognize it. And also because they live a lifestyle that they're having fun, they're traveling, they're going out, they increase their chances, and now they're transmitted to someone who may not have that strong immune system. I have another question. Thank you, Chester Smith. One more question, and it's okay if you got more. Is there a period between getting the booster for COVID and the flu shot?
Currently, actually, I had a friend back home that they had mixed the flu and the COVID vaccine, like one arm, one arm. They did it the same day. So no, right now you can get them both in the same day. But if you have any reservations about it, absolutely space them apart. There is absolutely no problems with that. Just as long as you get vaccinated for both of them. We're not seeing the prevalence of like flu as much as we are with COVID, but I wouldn't want to take a chance with that either. Still get vaccinated for flu, get vaccinated for COVID. If you want to, space them out. That's no issue, just as long as you get vaccinated in the first place. It's great. It's wonderful to get both of them. You want to have all the defenses that you can. I want to have an armor. I don't want to just have one shield.
That's a good, great, and good. This education is what's important to me. Again, I believe in being more relational. This is part of how we started this conversation with Stacy. And there's another great group of RNs and nurses to our left that you all can't see, but they're over there. I'm just letting you all know there's a whole group of wonderful smiling faces here serving. And so partly they're probably off camera and stuff. They shaking head like, yeah, thumbs up. But Stacy agreed to talk. And again, guys, this is about education. We can't be afraid of the education to make the right decision. Again, I don't want anybody to be bullied through fear and the lack of information or just a media spin. One of the things that I've combated and said, the things that said, get vaccinated or die. That's not necessarily true. That's not the word. That's not the way we want to talk about the vaccination, because we know there are people who are living and have not been vaccinated, right? But we know the vaccination uh, drastically reduces the risk of also contraction, and should you contract it, it also increases your risk of survival. All right. And so that's the message to get out. It's not get vaccinated or die. That's not the truth of it, right? Because everybody will not be come in contact with the infection or the virus of COVID-19. So that's not a true statement. And so we're not here trying to fearmonger people. That's not the message. It's about education. It's about hopefully giving you greater assurance and greater confidence as you try to live your life with your family and your friends. Because the truth of the matter is, who wants to be boxed up in the home every day, never traveling? It really makes life, the way we live our lives, people, you know how hard it is to stay in the house. I'll just shut everything down. How,
I go to the park, I go to dog park, and I try to travel as much like if I can or go see family because my family's all in North Carolina. I'm a North Carolina native, been down here for 3 years, so I love to travel just as much as the next person. But I think that we should take care of one another because I know that it's a personal choice,
right?
100%. And that's why I'm here is having that conversation. I would rather have a conversation with someone than them ask me honest, open questions where I can give them the best information that I have to my knowledge. And if I don't have it, I'll look it up and find it out with you. So it'll be educational for both of us because I'm not good, but I do know a few things. But still, I want to get back to that normal life. I want to feel and hug my great grandmother again. I'd love to.
With confidence.
Yeah.
And I take pride. Again, everybody who's joining in, I'm behind the camera, but I take pride in having confidence. And this is what I keep saying to our church. Sometimes people only think about being healthy when you leave outdoors. But for me, my greatest health and confidence is when I'm indoors because I do not wear a mask at home. When I'm hugging my children, I don't wear a mask. When I hug my wife, I don't wear a mask, right? And so when I come home, I want to have confidence in the people that I am sitting on the couch with, eating dinner with at my table, that I relatively have high confidence that I am not carrying the virus. And so for me, that's what's important for me. Now, of course, I do care about the people I work with. So those who I work with, I'm listening, don't think I don't love you. But I know I love my son, Josh. I love my daughter, Charity, and I love my wife and my mother. And so I want to come home. And when I take off my mask, know that I'm confident that I am not carrying the virus. And if so, and if I've been around somebody, I immediately go get tested without reservation. I immediately go get tested. And I'll tell you all, I've been tested about 7 to 8 times. I'll leave work, tell my supervisor, I move, I'm not full of fear. I go with that because I go there and have the confidence that I've been fine. And thank God all my tests have come back negative. All right. All right. So I got a question, and we'll take this final question. My son is a diabetic. Is it better to get Pfizer or Moderna for people with underlying illnesses?
So I love that question. Pfizer and Moderna, and then you have Johnson and Johnson. So Johnson and Johnson only has a 65% protection rate, and that's only for people who have like blood clots and stuff. Or if you have any history of blood clots or any history of heart stuff, you can't get it. Unfortunately, I wish it were, but we can't do that. Moderna, Pfizer, whichever one you get, you cannot go wrong with because I tell you what, the diabetes is where we've had a lot of issues with our recent stuff in the hospital. I work for a local hospital around town. I've seen the people that come in and that have diabetes from the COVID, because for whatever reason, right now the COVID variant is attacking people that have diabetes. Because I'll
Wow.
see them with their sugars in the 400 to 500s on a continuous drip of insulin, just trying to in their body, trying
Wow.
to get that sugar down. It won't come down, and those people suffer really hard. I'm not trying to give you
Those
the
are
fears.
facts.
I want to give you the facts. So Moderna or Pfizer, you can't go wrong. Either one. If you are worried about FDA approval, that FDA approval will circle back, get the Pfizer. If you don't mind as much, we got the Moderna, and that is on the brink of having that seal of approval as well, but still goes through like a thousands of people being vaccinated case studies to be able to give emergency use authorizations. So either one, you're safe with both of those. But I would say he most certainly, I would recommend getting vaccinated for him. That's a wonderful question.
That's a wonderful question, and we appreciate it again. This open dialogue so we can get the facts, and you're also getting statistics and somebody who's on the front line, and they see this every day. One of the things again that I'm combating is for some reason the people who are professional who do this every day don't have great hearts like you and I. And for some reason, they're a part of some type of secret code. And these people love their family like you love their family, and they're not doing something unethical just to earn a check. We got to believe that there are more people like you who are ethical, integral, and are trying to do everything possible to make sure we get through this thing. All right. So, Stacy, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you representing CDR Health. And I'm just representing the healthcare community. All right. So everybody, do all you can to share the facts, share the information, and again, share the facts. And again, Stacy has shared real facts of what's happening, so you can state the facts, and people have a greater confidence in being vaccinated or not, but at least have the right knowledge when you're making a decision. All right. So we're out here live. We got a few more minutes or so probably where people can be vaccinated, whether you come today or go to any other place locally.
We have a CDR. We have vaccinations, COVID testing, and COVID treatments for people who might have gotten COVID or have COVID currently. So if you have any kind of issues or questions, you feel free to look our office up on Google or Bing or whatever you use. Call us if you have questions. You'll have a nurse or somebody to be able to give you appropriate information. I don't mind continuing the dialogue if you need to call me or whatever. Call our office. I don't mind. I love having these kind of conversations. But I don't want to preach. I want to share that information.
I want to preach.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave the preaching to you. I'll just want to have a conversation with people because, like, I want to show my love for people, and that's how I show my love. Because the greatest, I know we want to. I know you want to quote the Bible. I'm quote Lonnie for a second, but like the greatest way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others,
Yes.
and that really guides me as a person. Leave it better than you found it. Have it better than you found it. Educate people better than when they have a little piece of information when they walk away from you. Share that love. That's how I show my love. So that's why I got into it in general.
Stacy, this has been a very powerful time. Everybody who's on, do me a favor and share, because somebody needs to hear the real truth about the vaccination and COVID-19.
Yeah.
You heard it right here on site at Truth Gathers Dream Center today. God bless you. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Bye.